Now tonight, thousands of learners in secondary schools, universities and other tertiary institutions across the country who depend on bursaries from county governments to fund their studies may soon be forced to seek alternative funding after the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, raised the stop sign on counties from making such expenditures. Dr. Nyakango says that save for pre-primary, which comprises of ECDEs, home craft centers, childcare facilities and village polytechnics, counties should not spend a single coin on bursaries to the other institutions, which he argues are national government functions, unless there is a gazetted transfer of functions authorizing the same. NTV's senior reporter Ibrahim Karanja begins our broadcast tonight.
The later dated 14th of January 2025, addressed to County Executive Committee members for finance in all the 47 counties, Controller of Budgets Dr. Margaret Nyakango indicates she will not authorize any requisition for expenditure of county funds to be used on national government functions, in particular offering educational support towards universities, tertiary educational institutions, primary schools, special education, secondary education and special education institutions. The letter directs that such support should only be for pre-primary education, village polytechnics, home craft centers and childcare facilities, which are the only ones devolved under Part 2 of the 4th schedule of the Constitution. This, in effect, means that unless there is a transfer of function from the national government to the devolved units and accompanied by an intergovernmental agreement published in the Kenya Gazette, the tens of thousands of learners who have been depending on government bursaries to fund their studies in secondary schools, universities and tertiary institutions will henceforth not receive the monies.
In the 4th schedule, Article 185.2 and 186.1 and 187.2, the roles of the national government are the following. Now, in education policy standards, curricula, examinations and granting of university charters. The other one is universities, tertiary educational institutions and other institutions of research, and higher learning and primary schools, special education, secondary schools and special education institutions. If you have listened very carefully, there is no issue where it speaks about issuance of bursaries. It doesn't. Because this is not a function that is envisaged in Schedule 4 of the Constitution. It is not assigned to any level of government.
Bursary is a social support. And I don't think there is any child in this country that can be denied access to education. There is no child that belongs to the national government or county government. These are Kenyan children. And the law doesn't tell us, okay, so this child at preschool is a county government child. This child at this level is a national government child. And that is why the question of bursary is not anchored anywhere in law. There is also no law that says that in the Constitution that bursary, there is a bursary for national government and a bursary for the county government. There is no law that speaks into that.
For now, according to Governor Eric Mutai, counties will have to halt the bursary issuance process in light of this development, a move likely to greatly affect not only the learners, but their respective schools that had allowed them into class with the hope that their arrears will be paid by the county governments.
When we made a budget, the first person who must approve our budget is the Controller of Budget. As we are speaking, in almost every county, there is an allocation for bursaries, which she approved in July. So, what is this that has suddenly come up after she has approved budgets, and she now requires that the Nyeri as a county sits with the national government to sign participatory agreements for a function that has not been given to national government or to county governments? Because it is saying a need that has come up. For example, assistance in payment of fees.
Sisi ndio tuko pale chini. Tunaelewa yule ambaye hajiwezi. So huwezi sema ya kwamba governors hawastahili kupatiana bursary. I want to call upon Control of Budgets. Please, let governors do their social responsibility ya kusaidia wananchi wa pale chini, ili pia watoto wetu ambao wajiwezi kupata school fees wa kusaidika katika county bursaries, tukishirikiana na pia zile bursaries ya CDF.
I've convened an urgent meeting for the committee on Monday for COG. One of the things on the table is that we'll be seeking legal redress towards the same, so that we seek a court interpretation towards the same.
Well, the fate of tens of thousands of learners depending on support to access education is now in the balance following this position by the controller of budget. And this even so since the alternative funding, that is the NGCDF, is set to run out in 2 years after a court ruling, and that may as well change the conversation about funding for education. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV, Nairobi.